It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing.
It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive.
It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow, if you have opened by life's betrayals, or have become shriveled and closed from fear or further pain.
I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it, or fade it, or fix it.
I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own, if you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic, to remember the limitations of being human.
It doesn't interest me if the story you are telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself, if you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul, if you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy.
I want you to know if you can see beauty even when it is not pretty every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence.
I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand at the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the full moon, yes!
It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after the night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done to feed the children.
It doesn't interest me who you know or how you came to be here. I want to know if you will stand in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back.
It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away.
I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. The Invitation by Oriah Mountain Dreamer.
I'm not sure if that's their actual name.
I hope it is. That was a cool name.
That would be a pretty cool name, but I mean, that was also a pretty smooth poem as well. Good transition. And a good introduction for today's episode. So, welcome everybody to the Pickle Podcast. I'm your host, picklesonmayo, and I'm joined here, as always, with my co-host, Mr. Nobody 711. Say hi.
Hi.
And today we're just doing a bit of a experimental podcast, kind of a bit of a exclusivity, as if you will. We're instead of streaming on YouTube Live as usual, we're gonna be trying the Twitch platform as our medium. We're gonna see how it goes.
We tried doing both YouTube and Twitch at once, but one that is physically demanding on a computer, and also I feel like how like the stream works, something about the algorithm and something just doesn't like you going multi-platform. It could probably sense the stream keys being, because didn't you use like some software, not software, like some program? It was like a restream.io or something that weird.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I feel like probably restreams don't do as well, you know.
It's also a bit harder to manage multiple platforms, and maybe just sticking to one is, good enough. I think Twitch would be something interesting to explore as well. So
it is a more friendly on like live stream platform as well. But don't worry, even once this is off the air, once we're done live, as always, it will go up on YouTube and all our other fine platforms are on, wherever you find your fine podcast material.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Yeah. So why don't we just jump into today? So first things first.
Order of business, the sellout business. Let's get the merch out of the way, you know. Remember, we do have stylish stuff that you can purchase.
Look, it's not sellout, because this is I'm gonna be honest. I might be biased because I am a partial owner of the store, of course. But I mean, this is some fine apparel here. You've of course got your soft pillow for the Pickle Podcast, and we got an advertisement here.
Oh look! Wait, if you get extra 10% off reading custom.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that was yeah. You could even apply that 10% coupon, I guess.
Extra incentive. Yeah.
And some of the features are, of course, that it's very soft, and it's quite soft, and it's oh so soft.
We're a very cuddly and warm podcast, and a nice pillow is very good for that. And you never know. I'm not guaranteeing this. You never know. There could be a corresponding blanket in the works eventually at some point.
Yeah. And
we got the usual shirts, the hoodies, zipper hoodie, long sleeve, neon.
This has been around for quite some time now, but it's obviously one of like the
most thought
mainstay.
And it's been the one that like took time to make as well.
Right. Quite proud of this design.
And within the next few months, you're gonna release a new like artsy design, right?
You know what? That is the plan. I wouldn't be opposed to it. In fact, I'm quite excited to like explore more of this like design for apparel kind of world.
And to everyone who's already bought merch, thank you. And I believe we mentioned them before. But if you buy new merch, we will.
Yeah,
have we? No, we mentioned them before. We mentioned them before, yeah. But just to let you all know, if you do end up buying merch and you would like to be featured on the podcast, we will definitely do that. If you just slide in our DMs, send us a pic of you in the whatever thing you bought, and we'll be happy to feature you and give you a quick shout for supporting us with some awesome quality clothing or apparel or accessories, whatever.
Of course, yeah. So,
yeah.
I guess.
Good reminder.
With that intro stuff out of the way, we are now getting on to the main show.
The meat and gravy. But before the meat and gravy, but before we get to the scheduled meat and gravy, I just wanted to ask you, how are you doing?
Oh, how am I doing?
How are you doing?
You mean we're catching up right now?
We talked before this, but sure, how are you doing?
Oh, no. Okay, look. I'll just preface it, before we get into further detail, I've been reading more books, but which books exactly those are, I'll talk about later, but for now, I'd like to quickly introduce this painting in this time-lapse that we're gonna dive into. So before this podcast, the day before this podcast, I was recording
I drew this.
No, you did not. Don't listen to him, he did not drew this. I mean, like, okay. I don't even know how to. You're not even familiar with the Adobe Suite programs, are you?
I use
30
Paint, the best program.
Look, don't even try to fake. This is my podcast you're on.
Look. It's my signature. That could be my. It's not. It could be my.
That's obviously not your signature. It would have said. It would have said Mr. Nobody 7-Eleven.
That could be. Maybe it says Sully. You never know.
Everybody knows that that's my signature.
Look, if someone doesn't know how to read cursive, all they know that says Sully.
For all they know, you probably didn't paint this.
Alright, man. I'll let you have this one. I have so many good paintings that I'll let you have this one.
Okay, fine. I'll just quickly explain the process of this and just say that it started off with like a few basic sketches, of course. You'll see it later in the time lapse as we continue. It delved into some ideation stages, exploratory, using some like different themes to play around with what I was looking for, and eventually I kind of like landed on this crocodile, theme, and I think I kind of gravitated towards it, not because it was like particularly like interesting, but I kind of like the idea of like drawing some reptiles for once in a while, and you'll see that process. I'm not really too familiar with this like specific workflow myself, because I'm kind of used to just jumping straight into a painting sometimes, just for fun. But this is definitely something that like I wanted to try for once, and I think everybody should try it as well. If you're interested into that, of course.
And yeah, I would recommend Microsoft 3D Paint to everyone.
If you want to get into like, you know, actual serious digital painting, it doesn't need to be Photoshop, but probably shouldn't be Paint 3D. I'm gonna be honest. I've tried it myself. We both tried it. Tried to make our own vector art from that like crude software, but it's not the best in the market. Yeah, you could try like, you know what? Before I actually got into Photoshop and learning to get a grips with it, I was using like a program called Fire Alpaca, which was really good for just starting out as digital painting. And I think it's mainly targeted towards like line artwork, which is mainly what I did at the time. But since now I kind of get into looser and less like comic book style, like you know, finished products.
I've
kind of gravitated away from that stuff.
To more realistic, yeah.
Yeah, kind of realistic. I guess you could say realistic. That's the main goal of painting.
You've gone from like YouTube animator style to like realistic style.
I wouldn't even say like all my stuff was YouTube animator style. I think that was only exclusively for the YouTube platform.
Yeah. Also, my guy, Pickle. I need to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I need to confront you about something. So I was watching some Odd Ones Out the other day.
Oh, what? Yeah. Okay.
And
interesting.
And I came across his merch, and there's something that I'm gonna send you a link in Discord. I want you to show the viewers this piece of merch.
You literally want me to? Okay.
Show the viewers.
What about it? Okay, hold on. You know what? You're really making me multitask here.
Yeah, just put it on the screen.
Fine.
I'm trying to make a point here.
He's asking for.
Look at this. This does not look like your avatar. It looks like your avatar with a big mouth.
I mean, dude. Okay, look. There's only so much that you can do with a round face and some two dotty eyes. I mean, look. Even my character doesn't have these like dotty eyes. If you see my character, didn't you see the thumbnail of this like, you know, whole podcast?
Yeah, I see it every day.
This is very. It's not very different, but it's like noticeably different.
At least I have a stick figure. I'm different.
Dude, your character looks more similar to the Odd Ones Out than my character ever has.
I'm a stick figure.
Don't go calling.
I'm the only one out there that's a stick figure, as far as I know.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm the only one with that facial kind of stuff. I wouldn't even call it unique. Okay, it's just
like
that
Domix looks like a normal, looks like a person. Like Jade Animations looks like another kind of style of person, but you're just a white blob, just like Odd Ones Out.
They're all white blob except they have a T-shirt.
And varying hair.
Look, okay, I had no intention of like plagiarism on that. In fact, I was like explicitly aiming to make it have a different look. So you know what? Don't even try that on me.
I'm glad I brought
we got
this
so derailed so far. Come on, what are you thinking?
I think a lot of things, man.
No, but I don't even see the resemblance there. I thought you were somewhat artistically versed. Or not versed, but I mean you had some.
Yeah, I'm a connoisseur, you know.
Well, anyways, we were gonna catch up on our lives
You know,
before
I
we were
think
interrupted by Sully.
But you know what? I feel like in general our lives are pretty. It's been, as the title says, it's been like 30 days since our last episode. In those 30 days, everything's basically the same.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, that's quite true. But you know what? It's always good to catch up on other people's existences and learn about what they've been either like slowly progressing towards, or like they've ever met a certain milestone. You know, that's always interesting to hear.
it's always good to ask, and also, yeah,
What? Yeah.
it's good, it's good to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
So
good.
like,
It's just good to be curious about other people's life. Of course, don't be
not
invasive.
not be,
That is
but
a
like,
different story.
but it's but be check up on people, just especially in these times. Let them know how they're doing. And another note I wanted to make is that even though our lives may be pretty similar these past couple months, not really much happening new. At the very least, honestly, it's kind of better than more bad things happening in your personal life.
Yeah. And so, before I mentioned that I was reading more books, what exactly those books are, you ask? Well, I've been kind of diving into the classical novels. Not really classical novel. Actually, yeah, no. Just remove the AL from classical. It's just like some of the classic books that maybe you've read in elementary or middle school or maybe even high
So
school.
like,
I don't know.
it's like James and the Giant Peach.
I've I haven't heard of that one yet, so no. But
Okay.
I've finished. Actually, this is like quite a while ago, but I finished like The Lord of the Flies. Remember last podcast I was talking about that? I
Yeah.
was kind of talking about my early thoughts on the book. It ended pretty well. I'm pretty satisfied with the whole experience. Then after that, I was steadily chipping my way through To Kill a Mockingbird, and that was really good as well. It's kind of taking place in a rural setting. I'm not exactly sure what the time period is exactly, but it's definitely after the Civil War. When slavery is ended, and before actually it might be like during industrialization, just because there was like a lot of cars being mentioned there, and you could still see like some traces of like modern technology, but it wasn't highly advanced. It was in southern Alabama, so I guess there was only so much that could be there in existence. And then currently, I'm reading a bit of Sherlock Holmes. Interestingly enough, I had no idea it was even Sherlock Holmes when I first dived into it, but it just so happened that it was like an investigation oriented, and so I kind of took some interest in it, and then I discovered that, oh, this is Sherlock Holmes apparently. Okay, and I'm kind of digging it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get more into those kind of like literary texts. So that's just a bit of my life over the past month or so. What about you?
Uh,
It's fine if you don't have anything to like really rival what I just said, but it's not a
I'm sure I,
competition.
I'm sure I did stuff, but I'm not sure if it's stuff that is noteworthy enough to tell all of you.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I mean,
But
sometimes it's even good to take a break from just
from
like
the heck,
all activities maybe.
from the hecticness.
Yeah. But of course, you don't want to like stay in that mode for too long, because then you could get into that like kind of toxic cycle of just doing nothing.
I wouldn't say toxicity. You can be productive and have not much new stuff going on. It's just complacency, maybe.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
even like,
it's not that everything needs to be engaging. Everything that you do needs to be engaged. Every like thing that you do in your daily life doesn't need to be particularly new or exciting. But even like the not so new or exciting things can lead to even like larger things down the line, which I mean I appreciate. That's kind of how I view books.
yeah.
I saw it as a way to improve my reading abilities, because I don't know about you, but I kind of like struggled a little bit with my like not really train of thought, but just like reading and literary skills, that I felt like I needed to go back to the roots, even though
How-
like like reading books is not really basic in a way, because I mean, you could do that for the rest of your life, and it would never get boring as long as you read more and more advanced or interesting texts that you take interest in. Yeah.
I would say that at least I am glad to be I guess blessed that all of my literary skills have always been at least decent, but which I guess is a tribute to that I always have had somewhat a knack for reading the fine arts.
Oh, that's
But yeah,
interesting. Yeah, the thing is that I was never gravitated towards reading when I was little. So now it's kind of a strange shift to now be reading like not really many books, but reading really consistently,
yeah.
which is a win in my book.
In general,
There's a lot of books being mentioned here.
yeah, but in general, if you're not watching the Pickle Podcast, we do recommend reading a good book.
Yeah, I mean it's really enlightening. I think it's great.
Well,
I know I'm just like going on this awful tangent. You have the chance to say something if you want.
All these episodes, and we still can't stop ourselves from speaking over each other.
I know, but we still haven't figured out that complete dynamic. But at some point, we're gonna like be so in sync that we're gonna like be finishing each other's sentences without fail, without a doubt.
21 episodes, if we still speak over each other, it's gonna be another like 21 till you don't.
No, I think it just takes some like anticipating of what each other person's like train of thought usually like ends up, so that way we know when to like jump in and when not to, kind of just back off.
Yeah, well, I guess at least maybe more consistency with doing these maybe would help, but it's not too. I think we have gotten better from like the first few episodes.
Yeah, no, we're great right now.
Yeah.
It just takes some experience, all that. That's all it really is, and just being mindful. I just did.
Yeah. All right. Ignoring that, anyways, it's like taking a segue once again through people who right now, due to a lack of electricity, could use a good book right now. Sorry to the people in Texas, but the people in Texas, they got a lot of snow right now for their area, and they ain't used to it, and things are a bit hectic down there.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that so strange though? Like, so
is
it really that strange? I'm just kind of thinking about it right now.
So the Dallas-Fort Worth area has gotten 3 to 9 inches of snow, which, like, if say the Midwest, that wouldn't cripple the Midwest at all. They way over prepare for snow. But in terms of that area, their homes are not built to handle that. Their homes are getting destroyed by that amount of snow. The roads are all blocked, and it's been a few days, so it's starting to clear up now in terms of cleanup and stuff, but it's still not great. There still are people without power in the DFW area, and it's just interesting how
such a location is being flooded with snow all of a sudden. What?
Well, in certain areas that snow would not be noteworthy at all.
Yeah, of course, if you moved upper north, that would be the usual. That's just weather.
But actually, I'm not saying everyone in the Dallas-Fort Worth area is affluent, but a decent amount of people in that area are decently well off. Yeah, so I mean, at least they have it's an area where people have the means of stable life, is what I mean. But it's still, even in that kind of society, they can be crippled by things like this, which is an interesting thing.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I would almost say that I wish our area got as much snow as them, but that's kind of being like.
Well, we used to, not anymore. We used to, in the between 2010 and 2015. But after 2015, we just haven't got any snow in the DC metropolitan area, which
yeah, that's quite unfortunate. I mean, obviously, I don't want people who need to make that daily commute. Obviously, it's kind of decreased over the time because of COVID. Obviously,
a lot more people working online.
Yeah, online telework has become a lot more common, which I actually think is a good transition. For even though it was slightly forced, it was completely forced by the circumstances at hand.
It's beneficial for some, but I think there are still some people like telecommuting, some people like the office more. It just depends. But
yeah, that is true. Yeah, sometimes your home environment is not exactly the best place for you to be in a focused state and get work done. I find that kind of particularly true for myself. Even though I'm able to do paintings somewhat productively. It's not just paintings, by the way. It's just like whatever it is that I'm working on. Even though I'm able to like just work somewhat proficiently in my own space, I feel that when I'm outside, or at least in a like organized setting, it's kind of easier to force yourself to just get this done, you know. Just get it done.
Well,
So telework has kind of almost gotten rid of that feeling, but
well, speaking of a job that requires a lot of teleworking, which is data centers, which have a lot of employees that do just manage the servers by remotely. An interesting note of why the DC metropolitan area, specifically Northern Virginia, has a lot of you notice there's a lot of data centers here, right?
yeah.
And the reason that it's interesting to note that the reason they chose this area is because it's a very natural disaster neutral zone. Like, we don't really get natural disasters here that often.
Oh, that is true, yeah. Because,
So
the
that's why-
Midwestern region, they have, of course, like Tornado Valley, I think it is called.
Alley.
Yeah.
Tornado Alley. And then
Oh, it's
the
literally
west.
Tornado Alley? It's
Yeah.
like an alley? Oh, okay.
I think they call it Tornado Alley, yeah, like Kansas and all that stuff is Tornado Alley.
Okay,
Yeah.
a bit of a tangent here, but wouldn't, like, the thought of, like, physically seeing a tornado actually, like, scare you to your core?
I'm not denying that a tornado's
Like
not
the-
scary.
That would be so terrifying. Just seeing a massive tornado coming down. I mean, even if it was like 50 kilometers away, it would still be clearly visible, and you see it heading towards your direction at a consistent.
Oh, why'd you say kilometers?
I don't know.
I know the metric system is the proper scientific system to use. But then again, at the same
Oh
time,
yeah. Actually, yeah, that's weird. I don't know why I said. Oh, okay. It's because we were looking at those geographical maps earlier, and it was in kilometers. So I kind of like strangely shifted my conversion units or something to kilometers. I think that's why. I don't know.
I think we have a mostly American audience though, so most of the
Sure,
times
yeah.
we find 6 miles, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, 50 kilometers. That's not too fast, is it?
Are you talking about 50
that's not a huge distance.
Are you talking about like how fast the tornado is moving, or like how far the tornado is?
No, I'm simply talking about how far the tornado is. So yeah, that'd be like
I'd be decently far, but
decently
still.
far.
Actually, the idea of a tornado is scary in general, but like I said, how Texas was not prepared for the snow, and meanwhile in the Midwest, they're expectant of things like tornadoes, so they have precautionary measures and how the homes are built, and they have all those underground things that people go into, the not cellars, I forgot what they're called. The thing that the girl from Wizard of Oz, she didn't go in there and she got sucked up and went to whatever the place was called, the Yellow Brick Road.
Oh, is it like a caravan or something?
I don't think.
If you're talking about Wizard of Oz, I feel like that's.
No, I'm talking about did she fail to how Midwest homes, they have outside the house they have this area where you can go, it's underground.
Oh, bunker.
Yeah, I think it's just called a bunker, and
Yeah.
she failed to get in the bunker, and that's why she got transported to that other place.
Oh, I haven't visited that story in forever.
It has been a number of years since I have engaged in watching The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, that's something that I would probably look towards, because that is it did originate as a book, didn't it? I remember I read it as in the form of a book.
Most classics are, so I would assume so, yeah.
We'll just say it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't really know how to transition into this next one, because it's a bit far-fetched. It's a bit astronomical.
Yeah, this morning I was looking at the Google Docs, which we put as a guideline of what to talk about on each episode of the podcast, and I was looking what he wrote down for today, and I was like, what is this? So I'll let you introduce this thing that you wanted to talk. I don't know how we segue into it, but I guess we're doing it now. So just introduce the topic you're trying to suggest that you put on our Google Doc sheet.
Yeah. So what I wanted to get into here is called the simulation hypothesis, and I think the thought of it just kind of popped up when I was in a discussion with with my family, mainly just with my brother actually, at the dinner table, and we were discussing this theory. I won't even call it a theory, because there's not much that you can base it off of, really. So it's more of just a hypothesis. But basically, this hypothesis, the simulation hypothesis, is about the idea that we're all living in a simulation, a sim life. Everything that is like surrounding you, like your hand, like the body that you are existing in, is merely like a projection of what you are. What you really are.
I refuse to believe I am a form of code that some alien is messing around with.
Yeah. Okay. We can get into the rebuttals later on, and obviously there are going to be a lot of rebuttals here, because this is quite just a, a thought experiment, almost.
There's a certain type of person that says, like, don't you like, I don't know how to describe it. There's a certain type of person who's always like, man, what if we're a simulation?
Yeah, I know. Look.
When something bad happens, this kind of person, they're always like, man, the simulation getting messed up.
Yeah, okay. If I'm to interject my thoughts here real quick, I'm gonna say I personally don't buy into it, but we're gonna like entertain the thought a little bit here, all right? That's the whole point. And I think it's kind of interesting though, like what if the situation? What if?
What if?
So why don't we just kind of explore it a little bit? Hold on. Let me clear my throat real quick.
Go ahead.
So, I guess this theory kind of stemmed from Enlightenment thinking, and kind of when technology was starting to really advance and bump up its like realistic quality. Like today we have such like advanced technology in order to like just replicate the things that exist in our real world, and it's able to do it at like quite the realistic level. It's really accurate compared to just like simply like not even half a century ago. We didn't have anything to this level of like replication.
Okay, but so just because we have the technology, what is it? I don't get how it transfers over into the idea of life being a simulation.
Yeah, okay, but we'll get into that. So, assuming that we're progressing at this continual exponential rate of like technological development. I know that was a lot to swallow right there. But assuming that we're continuing at this like growing expanding rate, wouldn't it be accurate to assume that we would eventually get to the level of such like technological complexity that it could be possible to replicate like living in real life, and you would not know?
What does that mean? What does that mean? So are you saying that we're gonna replicate like a whole new society? We're gonna make like The Sims 7 or something?
Okay, so the thing is that it could.
Is life just all an EA game? Is that what you're saying?
So maybe there's like different sects of this, like sect as in like different parts branching from that one like hypothesis.
Not intercourse. The other one.
Yeah. That's not kid friendly. That's not what we're aiming for on this podcast. But basically,
okay, even we have to talk about it eventually, but not today.
Eventually, when our viewers are not mature enough, but when we're like,
I think most of our viewers are of age.
Yeah, they're definitely of age, but we just want to ensure that we're not like disappointing any parental figures / guardians, out there.
Gotta be marketable.
So I guess there are different like sects of the simulation hypothesis.
Yeah, you're gonna keep laughing every time you say that word, aren't you?
Like some people could argue that like this entire universe is all in like some kind of interconnected simulation, which is kind of defeats the I don't know if I buy into that one. Like if
There's no way to prove it or disprove it. It's one of those things. You just can't prove or disprove it.
Yeah, but of course, this thought experiment is just us entertaining the thought. But if we like all were in a simulation together, and the universe is kind of this separate setting that we're all just existing in, and we're all just live. I guess it's just the fact that we're all living a matrix life, like matrix lifestyle, and we're all just like interconnected. Our brains are all connected to this whole supercomputer that's being crap. Let me collect my thoughts. In fact, we could. I think you guys get the idea, though. It's just the fact that we're all being simulated into a world, and we just don't have the knowledge to perceive that reality.
It's an interesting idea, but at the same time, it's a very open-ended idea. I think that's the best way to summarize it.
Yeah, it is definitely open-ended, and you have to kind of give a lot of benefit of the doubt, I guess, or suspend your disbelief, basically. But the other sect of this theory is that you, the individual, that each person is kind of just like their own simulation. Like everything that we perceive around us is simply in our own sphere of technology. Not sphere of technology. That sounds inaccurate. It's like we're the only ones who perceive these things, and that everything else, like every human, is kind of just some like block of code that has like basic movements, basic behavior patterns or something, and somewhat two-dimensional. But because like it's been so realistic, we were able to somehow like predict human patterns or something. That's kind of a more far-fetched and like psychotic side of like the theory. I also don't believe in that one, because I mean, personally, like if you were to believe that you were the only one who had a consciousness and that you were the only one who's living on Earth, like what would even be how would you even live with other people knowing that they're machines or something?
You know what? The thing you're suggesting is a very depressing existence that I hope isn't true.
Yeah.
But I feel like if this truly is a simulation, then the simulation is it's some reason it's calling me to start trivia.
Oh, okay. You want to start trivia? Okay.
Yeah, the simulation is saying we should start our trivia segment.
Yeah, I think I kind of lingered on that thought a bit too long, because I just kind of wanted to explain.
With a thought like that, it makes sense. It's very. What do you mean? Oh no.
All right. Could you talk a bit more about our little process here?
What'd you do?
So I forgot that trivia was a thing.
What'd you do?
So I think we can. I think it's fine if we just continue with this conversation, because I like where this conversation is going, and I wanted to get to a lot of different points here.
Are we still on trivia this episode, or did you forget to set up?
It's okay. This is quite an important topic, because.
I didn't follow up, but did you set up the trivia?
I didn't. That's why.
Can you do that?
It's gonna take a while. Okay.
I can carry.
No, there's so much good stuff I wrote here, I guess. Come on, I don't know.
Just like how teachers in school, do they really recognize all the work you're writing? I don't know, man. I'd like to think they read everything.
Yeah, but there's I don't know. Trivia has been. I like trivia, of course. Trivia is an important part of the podcast.
Every episode had trivia.
Before we didn't have trivia, and we did just fine.
No, we didn't.
We did great. We did great without trivia. I mean, of course, trivia was a nice addition. We didn't
get like 50 to 100 views on every episode on YouTube until we did trivia.
I would argue against
that. Hold on. Our first episode has like over 100 views. But I think that's mainly. That's because it's the first one. Everyone clicks on the first one, and then they don't watch us again because the first episode was not crystal quality, and they get probably turned off by that.
Yeah, I will agree then, but I don't know. I think we're just kind of wasting time just like talking about it.
Yeah, we had a really good question about horses on trivia too.
Fine, you know what? Carry it for like 2 seconds.
Okay, yay! I'm so persuasive on here.
No, it's just that you're stubbornly, stubborn.
Well, if I
You're
need
just
to
persistent.
carry,
I'll put it nicely. You're persistent.
that's not always a bad thing, you know. That's not always a bad thing. I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
All right.
Well, anyways, if I need a carry, I think I'm gonna talk about something that's hip and happening in the world. That
Oh, actually,
something that's more my expertise. You know, I enjoy this theory. We had a good discussion about it. But
Yeah.
I think, but now I think since I'm carrying into while he sets up the trivia screen that he forgot to set up earlier, we're gonna discuss.
How dare you?
MLB season is starting! Yay! Spring training just started. Pitchers and catchers have reported to their teams, and hey, this season, fans, they're
Hey, you should probably explain what sport this is.
yeah. If you couldn't tell, if you couldn't tell by my lingo of saying spring training, pitchers, catchers, we are discussing baseball is back. Woohoo!
Look, you gotta give the audience context.
All right. So anyhow, so partial fans will partially be able to come back into stadiums, and got a lot of interesting things going on in the landscape of baseball. Let me think. What are some major off-season moves? So let me pull up a little list of MLB free agency.
Well, actually, while you're pulling up that list, we could actually just go straight into trivia at this point.
Wait, just give me another minute or two.
No.
I started anyways.
You had your opportunity.
No, you can't cut me off like that.
You cut me off.
I wanted to Trevor Bauer. Our side of the Dodgers giving them an elite rotation. The Blue Jays made some nice moves with George Springer and Marcus Semien.
I'll let you finish.
Our boys, the Nationals, which hopefully we'll get to go to a game together again. Not sure of this year, but hopefully again. Our boys, the Nats, they made some. I like the Kyle Schwarber pickup. That was a good pick. That was a good under the radar pickup. John Lester is kind of an older pitcher, but he's a decent replacement for Anibal Sanchez. And he's had some good history. He's a gutsy guy, so I'm cool with him. Though sadly, some members of the Nats championship team have departed, such as Adam Eaton and let's see what else, Michael A. Taylor, those guys, which is sad to see. People of our baseball-loving childhood are gone, but a bright future with some new faces, and we still got some of our favorite old guys. Mad Max is still here, and all that fun stuff. And if you want me to give a, quick spring training prediction, really early, prediction of the World Series, I'm gonna go.
You're just gonna go.
No, I'm not gonna.
I'm gonna
stay here. But in terms of my prediction, in the NL, I have to. The Dodgers are just too overpowered with what they've done. I know the Mets fans are so hyped right now over picking up. Why is my mind blanking? Who's the big name? Francisco Lindor, and all that stuff that they. Which I admit they've done some nice stuff. They might. The NL East is probably going to be between them and the Braves, with the Nats hopefully maybe still being a wild card team. But I just don't see the Mets. The Dodgers are just too OP in the NL, and then in the AL. The Yankees are always annoying. What other AL team could?
I like how you're all just listing all these teams' names, but anyone that's not well versed in baseball.
I don't know what's up,
I don't. You know what? That's for the audience to decide.
I don't want to go with Yankees. That's the most boring one saying to me. Yankees Dodgers World Series.
While you're deciding, I think now is a great time to go into trivia.
Open up trivia while I decide who's coming out of the AL.
So, quick rounds of trivia today, because we want to keep these relatively bite-sized, kind of a bit of under an hour. So the question for today And this question kind of stemmed from our earlier discussion for what the question of the day should be. It was
You didn't put the question of the day in the chat.
Oh yeah, we didn't even put the question of the day. Okay, so the question of the day was supposed to be, if you dropped an ant from a skyscraper, would it survive? And
Wait, no,
I think we came to the conclusion from just like a few Google searches that it probably would, just because of like its body mass and its relative size.
Well, you know what they always say, yeah, a horse always lands on its legs, an ant always lands on its legs.
I don't. Okay, don't trust everything that we say here on this podcast, but.
Well, you don't like I mentioned horses?
That's just a disclaimer.
Horse hater, Mr. I hate horses.
I'm not a. Okay, stop trying to beat that dead horse.
You're the man.
Yeah, you're the one who's beating the dead horse. That joke was long gone. That was before this podcast even started.
I'm saving the dead horse. I'm saving the dead horse. You're the one who's trying to quickly, swiftly beat it. You're too guilty to beat it slow, so you want to beat it fast. Well,
Stop.
I'm taking my time fixing the horse.
Would you mind if we just get into the trivia so we can
we'll
get on with the show?
We'll discuss your horse hatred later.
Alright, so the question is, back to on topic. The question is, the first cloned horse which was ever bred is, and we're just going to go through your list of choices here. So first would be A, the Haflinger horse, of course. B, the Arabian horse. C, Appaloosa. That sounds kind of like a mythological name, almost.
That is a cool horse
And then
name.
D, the car. I'm sorry, not the car, of course.
It is also a car, but it is also a horse.
It is also a horse, yeah. It was probably a horse before it was a car.
That is why the Mustang logo is a horse.
Which was D, Mustang. So
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Mustangs. I like Ford Mustangs. They're nice. They're fun, masculine cars,
All right, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. So you will have 10 seconds, everybody, to guess. You can either say it in chat or just think it, whichever.
Is it? Are you playing the sound effects?
Yeah, their time is.
Time's up. You lack the minerals and
Are they lacking the minerals and
Wait, so okay, I'm just curious. You don't actually hear it or anything, right? You
have no sound on your Discord.
Oh, okay, but you were able to sync it up so well. I was so surprised. Okay, well, so we'll just go into some of the answer choices that my co-host chose here. He said D, Mustang, and unfortunately, no. That is not the first cloned horse. Honestly, this is quite a tricky one because I personally don't know, and this would be pretty niche.
You don't know because you hate horses.
Okay, well, I don't think this is common knowledge necessarily. So you can't blame me and call me a horse hater, just because I don't know. But actually, I do know. So, where's your point now?
You know because you know your enemy well.
Exactly. See, I could be on either side, and I'm on the side which doesn't hate horses. So how about that? Well, so
I've never seen you next to a horse.
Anyways, you had A, B, and C to also choose from, and sadly, if you chose B, Arabian horse, that's a pretty cool horse, but unfortunately, that is not the correct answer. And now we're down to the last two contestants, Haflinger and Appaloosa. Sadly, the mythological creature Appaloosa is not.
I think it's a normal horse. I don't think it's mythological.
I'm just calling it mythological because it's quite. I don't know. It sounds kind of like Greekish. I like the sound of it, but sadly, we're left with the last and final and correct answer, the Haflinger horse. So if you got Haflinger A, then you are correct. Congratulations.
Yeah.
If you and as we hear the audience finishing, why don't we just go into the next one? Round 2,
Yeah.
baby. This one will be extra fast, I promise you guys. I don't know why this is like strange.
I can't-
That's strange.
I can't guarantee it's fast. I might have comments about this. I always have comments, you know me.
No, don't. Okay. Well, this
had
one
a-
is kind of random though. I'm not really sure where you got this from.
I had a comment about making comments, but anyways, where I got this question from was me purely looking at the McDonald's menu. I'm like, wow, this would be a good question.
Oh, so okay, you didn't actually like straight up take a trivia question that was already pre-made. You just kind of looked at the menu and you were like, oh yeah, this is.
Yeah, so I'm not asking what has the lowest calories in all of the McDonald's menu because it's probably going to be some 0-calorie soda or like some yogurt parfait. But who gets a yogurt parfait from McDonald's? So I put 4 things that people kind of sometimes buy, and out of these 4 items that people have decent sales, which is the lowest calories?
Okay. Well, why don't we just jump into this? Is some really strange cropping that I did here.
Karma for hating horses.
No, this has nothing to do with horses, my dude. This is simply.
What are you're always drawing the conversation towards your horse hatred. Even when this has nothing to do with horses, you have to mention that it has nothing to do with horses.
Okay. I see this is kind of like a manipulative tactic of yours.
I'm a double-edged sword while you take time to pull up the answers.
Well, I appreciate that you're at least filling in the silence because, I mean, now that we got the issues sorted out, we can go through the questions, the answers to the questions. This is not I mean, I don't know if it's the answer or not. I'm not implying that this is the answer. So, the question,
But
of course.
it's one of the option choices.
So, just to remind everybody, the question is, out of these McDonald's menu items, which has the lowest calories? And first up, we have bacon ranch grilled chicken salad.
It is a salad, but bacon is very artery clogging and I would assume calories. So,
Yeah.
it's an interesting thought.
I personally never tried it, but next up we have egg McMuffin, which I have tried, and I think that's more of a breakfast menu item.
It is.
Yeah.
It is breakfast, which did they make the breakfast menu all day now? Do they still
Man,
do
I
it?
don't know. I'm not a really McDonald's connoisseur, so you gotta inform me on that instead.
Yeah, because you spend all your time looking at anti-horse stuff.
No, it's not anything. It's always gotta be horses with you. You know that's
This is the first time.
why is it always horses?
I'm
with you?
not even a horse guy. I just respect them, but I'm not a horse guy. I don't really know anything about horses, but I
See,
respect them.
Dang, that kind of sounds like you're kind of.
No,
you
no,
kinda
someone.
hate horses now.
No, for instance,
I
someone.
wouldn't say that if I were you. I'm just saying.
Okay,
We'll
if
go into the
someone-
next one. We'll
if
skip
so-
over that. It's fine. I forgive you for hating horses.
Look, if someone doesn't know anything about clocks, it doesn't mean that they hate clocks. It's just they're not a clock connoisseur.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. So next up we have C,
Yes.
the classic hamburger.
So this is just like a plain like dollar menu hamburger, and like no cheese, no fancy. You might get pickles, but even then the workers are pretty inconsistent about giving you pickles. So
So not
You
much
know.
to comment on so far.
but an interesting thing to think about a hamburger is, while you would think a hamburger is high calorie, the classic $1 hamburger is a very basic hamburger. So interesting thing to think about.
And finally, we have D, Filet-O-Fish. I always thought
D.
it was like there's another word that's very similar to fillet. It's just like fillet.
I don't
It's
know
with two-
what you're saying.
It's with 2 L's, and it's like it describes like the curvature of like a corner or something, I believe.
Well, interesting
It's,
note.
it's just very similar. I always confuse the two, and it's hilarious. But anyways,
Interesting note about the Filet-O-Fish is that they don't serve it after midnight anymore for some reason. I guess they don't want their midnight workers preparing it anymore.
that is strange. Maybe that has something to do with like legislation, perhaps.
What
That's
anti-fish?
such a strange thing.
I don't think it's what legislation is like no filet of fish after midnight? Like I don't think seafood
No,
is.
it could just be like fish products or something.
Why can't you have fish products after 12 a.m.?
That's not for me to decide.
I don't think there's a fish shortage.
Look, we'll give the audience some time to think about the answer choices that you have here, and in 10 seconds, we will be back to answer your queries, or at least answer this query. And time is about up.
Time's up. You lack some minerals and vitamins.
So we kind of beat it around the bush a little bit with what we were doing, when we were gonna announce our answer choices, and apparently my co-host believes we should bring back the filet-o-fish after midnight. Which, you know what? Why not? I agree. Why not? That is such a strange, like, kind of set of rule, though.
I don't imagine that their frozen patty is that hard to make.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what they were made famous for, isn't it?
No, I don't think the filet of fish made them famous. But...
Or no, but were you talking about just like a fish patty or just patties?
Like frozen, like I don't think a frozen fish patty is that hard to make after midnight.
Yeah. Well, you
you
never worked at McDonald's.
Yeah, I worked at retail.
Yeah. So anyways, let's just go through all these questions. I thought we were going to go through these rapidly, but apparently my co-host has something to say on everything. Which, I mean, in a podcast format is not terrible, but when we're trying to do something Speedy Gonzalez, it's not ideal. So starting off first with the bacon ranch grilled chicken salad. I mean, obviously, even by the name, it sounds kind of like chunky, you know? Kind of calorie intensive, so obviously that's gotta go.
The most greasy salad.
I've never tried it, so I can't speak on that. Next up, we have B, Egg McMuffin, and sadly, you know, eggs are kind of like high in. I wouldn't say high intensive. Are they even high in? No, I think that's more just in cholesterol.
They're high in a lot of things, but they're also high in good things like proteins.
Yeah.
I mean, pro egg here.
There's a lot of nutritional value in eggs, but I think it's mainly like the muffin part of the Egg McMuffin, which is giving it all that calorie value. So, sadly, Egg McMuffin did not make the list, or at least did not make the number one spot. And finally, we have D, Filet-O-Fish, and sadly, that's what the co-host.
And sadly, I know you're upset. I am right, but it's okay. You can forget. So you can. I won't go. Wait, what? No.
No.
Oh, I won't.
Yeah, were you so surprised that it was?
Yes, I was surprised at the question that I made. I got wrong. Yes, I'm surprised.
Well, I guess that only leaves us with one more answer, and that would be the classic hamburger. I mean, honestly,
it's really so plain that it just only has 250 calories.
Well, if you got C, classic hamburger, congratulations. But yeah, I honestly, that makes sense. If it's nothing just but like a bun and, you know, some meat stuck between it, it's kind of like destined to be low on the caloric value side. So
I really hope caloric is a word and you didn't just make that up.
No, caloric, don't you know? Isn't that like an adjective to describe something that's...
Or is it referring to...
Calorie related?
I think it could be two things. It could be that, calories, or it could refer to something full of chlorine.
No, it's caloric. Caloric value. That's gotta be a word. That's gotta be a term.
Mr.
It is, yeah.
Alright, Mr. Dietitian.
Uh-huh. I'll be out. What was it that we were like discussing? What would be like a profession that would delve into the simulation hypothesis? Oh yeah, we still have it up here. I forgot to remove it here. Actually, you know what? Since we're almost kind of wrapping up, why don't we just finish up this hypothesis of ours, or at least like this existing hypothesis of the
Do
masses?
you want to bring the hypothesis back, or do you want to discuss easy money, or you want to save that for next time? People do like easy money, so it's up
I
to
know,
you.
but almost like I feel like that could be a thing of its own. I kind of like that. I want to hear more of what you have to say on that, but it should deserve its own, kind of exclusive episode. I feel.
Yeah, you're really in love with the investigative episode format, which
I know,
in terms of
yeah.
Pickle
Wouldn't it be
Podcast
cool
special-
though? Wouldn't it be cool?
in terms of Pickle Podcast special episodes, we are still yet to work on the murder mystery episode, and then
Yeah, did we announce that yet? I feel like
we mentioned it, but then like we're both too lazy to edit it.
yeah.
That's all right. That's all right.
Well, anyway, to
Okay.
finish up this hypothesis,
I'll get it out. Wait, hold on. Shh.
what you were allowed to talk all you wanted about the MLB season league. And
No, listen.
I just want to finish
Listen.
up my hypothesis.
Actually, you should be ashamed of what I'm about to say. I will get it out
Okay.
before, cause we gotta mention it every episode.
No,
I will-
you really don't. I'm gonna.
I will get it out.
It doesn't.
before
It's not necessary.
Kalahari Part 5.
It's not necessary.
I'll get it out. I'll get it out before Kalahari Part 5.
You know what?
Just
That's
say
a
it.
challenge. That's a challenge. Okay.
I know I'm gonna
Challenge
win.
accepted.
I know I'm gonna win.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. This is.
I
I like
don't
this.
fear-
I like this competition. This is like friendly. This is
don't fear-
a good sense of competition.
I don't fear you at all. I have the utmost confidence.
That's
I'll edit Pickle Podcast Murder Mystery before Kalahari Part 5.
All right. We'll see to it. I just want to get back to the simulation theory,
Yes.
or hypothesis. I should stop calling it a theory because, it's really just kind of a hypothetical, which is why it's a hypothesis. But anyways, I wanted to bring up the example of Plato's allegory of the cave. If you're not familiar with it, I guess I could kind of give like a quick synopsis or kind of what I know on it just by like they made like a TED video on it. I remember that's where my basic knowledge of it came from, but I soon discovered its relevance to the simulation theory at one point. And basically it's like there are prisoners that are chained to a cave, except there's a fire that's lighting up behind them, and the only thing that they are ever experiencing in their life. So imagine that these like prisoners like kind of grew up in the cave, with their backs to the fire, and then this like this cave entrance then casts like light through the entrance so that only shadows appear on the wall. So basically the prisoners only ever see shadows their entire life. They don't ever see the people or the things that are casting the shadows. So then the question is then, what is real to the prisoners, Are the shadows the people now? Or are they merely just, what they are to us, obviously? They're just shadows and things that lack light. That's what shadows are, basically, like the lack of light. So that I think that's kind of where the simulation hypothesis like it truly started to have some backbone to it. And then later I guess Enlightenment thinkers and just modern day like existentialists kind of have the same theory as well. But there's also some other arguments that are like arguing for it as well. Like the argument that it's the probability of such a perfect world that we live in, Earth is so like unfathomably perfect in like the conditions that were needed to like set up this whole planet, that it's almost crazy to think that we're even alive to begin with. But I mean, in a way it could almost be refuted. Is that the right refuted? Due to the fact that like if you're like entering a lottery, someone is gonna have to win the lottery at some point,
At some point.
And we were probably, at least this is what I think. we were probably the people that won the lottery, and we wouldn't know otherwise that there were like thousands of other planets that were like,
which
not
lottery?
thousands, but
Which lottery? Are we discussing the lottery of like the universe being existing, the lottery of us
no,
lottery of us
yeah.
fertilizing, lottery of us fertilizing in our parents?
No, the lottery of us existing as a planet and as a people, and just like literally everything going as well as it could have, so that we could exist today. If that makes sense. Like,
Yeah,
fact-
brother, you've opened a can of worms that is such a huge can of worms. There are so many different directions and like opinions we can throw at this.
yeah, I know. Of course, this is just a hypothesis. Of course, it's simply a thought experiment, and like the whole point of it, I guess, is just like entertaining the thought that maybe what we're living in is not entirely true.
It's so perfect that it's a simulation.
Yeah, I know. Okay, but like, okay, just suspend your disbelief for a little while, okay, while I...
How did the simulation makers, what is their backstory then?
You know, that's some part that we don't know, because we don't even know if we're in a simulation to begin with, so like, how would... Oh, okay. Well, there is another side to it then, because people have always... I'm not sure if this is like widely like thought of, but maybe we use this like simulation as a way to not just like live another life. Like, even though like if you're living as a poor individual, like that would be pretty terrible. Like, you probably
another life, like the critically a game that we played, Second Life.
No, not like that. This is a bit more realistic. Like, this is...
that was a realistic game.
No, so like this is historically accurate. So like one theory. Alright, one theory. A theory of this, like, you know, hypothesis is that maybe we're using it to relive like this golden age of technology booming, you know? Like, how was it when the internet was first being developed? How was it when the first smartphone was ever invented?
So you're saying maybe in the future the humans have developed a simulation computer system to relive and see if what same things would happen again?
Yeah. Possibly. Yeah. You couldn't have said it better than myself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true then.
Yeah, you don't have to completely buy into it, and personally I don't either, but you know, it's simply something to think about. I mean, wouldn't it be kind of...
You managed to make I'm gonna applaud you. You managed to make this make like 0.3% more sense. I'll give you that. It makes like a little bit more sense now than it did. I'm not saying I'm on board with it, but I'm just saying I understand. I get what you're trying to say for a little bit.
See, like when you put like a slight amount of like tangible logic to it, you know, like the thought that this simulation might have some kind of purpose for science, or, you know, simply like entertainment, then it suddenly becomes like somewhat more realistic, even though the idea itself is already pretty far-fetched as it is. But anyways, there was also some like other rebuttals to this argument as well. Like, why would we have so much unnecessary stuff in this simulated world if we already have everything that we would need to like actually sell this like quote unquote reality, you know? Like, if everybody was their own organism, you know, with their own set of codes and everything, why would the programmers even bother to like program each individual to have their own each
it might not. Maybe we're all like AI. Like, we're all just a bunch of artificial intelligences.
Yeah, but even then, like the amount of
self-adapting and learning,
the sheer amount of data and just everything, all the numerical aspects of it,
you don't know,
would need to be crazy. You
don't know how strong the internet will be in the future. You don't know how many petabytes of storage will be available. I mean, you never know.
Zangs. Okay, this is kind of interesting though. because before you were kind of like
I'm still skeptical, but now I'm playing more devil's
yeah
advocate.
you were kind of like really skeptical about the idea that like
I still think it's.
that it could. I
I
mean,
I'm
that's
still.
pretty far-fetched. But now you're presenting the idea that, technology could enter the point where that is a possibility.
I'm just trying to make the point that yes, technology is going so extreme that it's still not going to. The development of new tech is not going to stop.
Yeah. So there you go. That's also another one of the points, like the fact that, technology, and that's what we said earlier as well. Technology is like expanding the knowledge of everything. It's expanding at such an exponential rate that 50 years down the line, it could be crazy ahead of what we ever would have imagined was possible. That's I guess the foundation of like the possibility of this whole thing.
It's beautiful what the simulation programs you to discuss the simulation.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's if we were set in this simulation and like our goal was to find like the route to simulation, like complete human artificial existence.
Mhm.
I feel like many of us have failed at that already, but I feel like there's more to life than just that, in a way. So,
Like finding love.
well, not just that, but like there's plenty of like
Thank you. Money. Yeah.
not just that as well, but like there's also other
Shit.
things. Yeah. So in that facet, I think that taking all these things into consideration, we probably don't live in a simulation because just because of like the sheer amount of possibilities that like anybody could go towards, like right now you have no idea what the future could ever hold, and I don't think a computer program or whatever technology that we're using in the future could ever predict that level of consequences or
The program in like 2 seconds, the program might send a missile towards your house right now.
Yeah, but
I think that's less. I don't like thinking about it.
okay, I'm just trying to wrap my. Why did you mention that?
I tried to bring that to the point of where I don't like thinking. I like to think that the randomness of life is not from some computer AI code, but rather just from the beauty of just randomness and maybe not randomness, but
Yeah, that's
there's
what I
different
like as
paths.
well.
Depending on what you believe, either randomness, sciencey stuff, the will of God, or all whatever you think, Actually, I think that's honestly the beauty of whatever this is,
Mhm.
There are many different paths that you can wholeheartedly believe and not be ashamed for. Well, maybe you'd be ashamed if you believe this is a simulation, but besides that, there's a lot of different paths of everything, origin, and where we're going, based off religion and science, whatever your thing is, and that's something cool about the universe.
Truly, yeah. It's all about that kind of, I don't want to say diversity, but almost like variation. I mean that's kind of the whole point behind evolution as well. Is variation. Even though they're like two different things, like we have randomness in our lives, and then ourselves has randomness in the mutations that occur in it. But like imagine trying to process every amount of that like every single mutation that's happening in every single person at once. I mean, no matter how complex we like can actually advance technology, I find it kind of hard to believe we'll ever get to that point of like exact. It sounds kind of strange, but I don't think we'll ever get to that level of like precise randomness, if you know what I mean. We'll never be able to completely replicate randomness
And I'll
in the way
never
that real life does it.
And I'll never fully be able to understand this topic, but that's once again the beauty of it.
Yeah, like it's all hypothetical, and I think I kind of enjoyed this discussion, even though I wasn't like completely coherent with my ideas. I kind of laid out like some major talking points, but I didn't do it in a super neat way. But hopefully you guys got some thought out of that. Hopefully you guys don't also like like have a existential crisis. Existential. That's always such a difficult word to nail down. But anyways, with that, I think we're ready to wrap up. We actually went quite a bit over our like planned duration.
I don't know why. Why do you try to set a timer? It doesn't happen.
I know, but like it's the fact that trivia takes a while. You kind of like lingered on the trivia topic for a bit too long. We all did actually. I should take the blame as well.
You should take all the blame.
But look, you had your MLB season preview, and I thought it was only right for me to have my hypothesis.
You cut me off.
My simulation.
Fine, I'll just say the Dodgers are just gonna win it all there.
Okay. Well, anyways, thank you all so much for watching today's episode, no matter how messy it was. And
I just want to say, as always, no matter what kind of mess you're in, we want to always try to be the consistent source of cleanliness and consistency and joy and chill vibes, all that good energy, just good energy in general, or whatever. And as I always say, we may not always have consistently be here with consistent, streams, uploads, what have you. But we're always there, archived, and we always hope you can come to us in a time of dire, or just a time where you want, good times, where you want the good times to keep rolling. And it may not be direct. We may not be directly thinking about you individually, but in the back of our mind, we always do truly think about how great even our small little community is, and we do care and hope the best for all of you as you continue this journey with us, and we continue through podcasts and entertainment form and on your journey as well.
Yeah, I like this tight-knit community as well. So thank you everybody for joining us today. I've been your host, Pickles on Mayo, and you can of course find my stuff at Pickles on Mayo on Instagram. That's my handle. And also check out I guess you could also visit my co-host handles as well. Would you like to say it right now?
At the Mr. Nobody 711 on Instagram and Twitter, and Mr. Nobody 711 on YouTube as well. And also one other thing, check out Pickles on Mayo over at Facebook at Pickles on Mayo.
Oh no! I mean, I don't think there's much. There's not much exclusive content on any of my social platforms. So whichever it is that you head to, except possibly Twitter, because I don't think I've ever really gravitated towards Twitter as a platform for art, but I mean it's there.
You can
do with it what you will.
You can share your thoughts. You can be like, man, I sure am hungry.
You know what? That wouldn't be a bad idea. But like I kind of there's another thing I should probably mention that I was actually it's not really a new habit, but it was like a habit that I've been doing consistently, which is just journaling. It's not really like going deep into my thoughts, but it was kind of interesting.
You could journal via Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of like the privacy of my journal, though. I don't know about you. You seem to enjoy it quite a lot, though. So you can check out my co-host Twitter if you'd like.
I do like Twitter.
For daily.
Not daily,
just thoughts.
Some thoughts every now and then. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you all, everyone, so much for watching. And we'll catch you next time as well.
And also find us on all our fine platforms. In our description thingies, you got Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, TuneIn, Amazon Music, and SoundCloud.
Yeah, that's a lot of platforms, but yeah.
It's necessary.
I hope you all find some kind of like enjoyment of listening to these Actually, they're not even bite-sized anymore. But we're aiming for it, alright? We're gonna improve. We will improve.
It's shorter than it used to be.
It actually is. One time we almost hit 2-hour marks, but
What time we almost
we're
hit
way
the
past that.
What time we almost hit the 4-hour mark?
No, that's
It was like 33.5.
no. I refuse to believe that. Anyway, we should try and wrap it up now.
He's still traumatized with the amount of time we spent on that episode.
Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I know I said it about 10 or 5 times now, but we'll see you later. Yeah,
Stay groomed.
and peace.
Double peace. Come on. Triple peace. Come on.
Triple peace.
Say it. Quadruple